Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Garrett Horner. Today is the 24 individual Olympic time trial championships. Now, today's race brought to you by the Horner Cycling Foundation, where we'd like you to save the date of August 10th for the Cascade Cycling Criterium Oregon State National Championship for Masters and Juniors, but we do have the Pro Men's and Pro Women's field, so if you'd like to come down and spectate, if you want to be a part of it, don't forget to register. And if you can help out with a small donation, I'll put the link down below to make the race a little bit bigger, a little better, and help us prepare it for next season too. Now, in today's individual Olympic time trial, what I want to cover is a little bit of the women's race and then go into some of the men's race. Of course, I can't cover both in detail, but when the women's race starts, what I really want to show you is we get in, we'll start seeing Taylor Knibb there. She's having all sorts of problems. The biggest obstacle coming up for the USA rider is going to be the speed bump here. She's in the time trial position, and she's got too much weight on the back of the saddle there. She's putting the weight down when she hits the speed bump. It's kicking her up and off the saddle there. She's going to save it at this moment, but she's going to crash 2 or 3 more times. And when I show you what's happening here to Taylor, it always blows my mind to think that riders don't have this figured out yet, that they don't have the proper training coach to get them set up. A lot of time the training coaches are always just worried about the riders getting faster and not worried about their technique, and certainly not worried about their tactics of how they're going into the races when they're racing against other competitors, or how they're setting up for the corners. Now we're going to see Taylor coming into the corners, and she's always pedaling into the corner. That's what's going to cause the back wheel to kind of loosen up a little bit, and then she's going to crash not once, not twice, but 3 times. Now we're going to see her mechanic running out, handing her bike to. He's going to slip and slide the bike over. She's going to grab the bike there and stop it just as it's coming to her, and once picks it up, the mechanic there's throwing the chain on. She jumps on the bike and takes off, but she's going to come and cross the line in second place just under 1 second from the time of the Polish rider Marta Lok. Now that'll put her in second place, but she gave up a ton of time. We're talking 3 crashes. We're talking speed bump scares. We're talking the mechanic slipping on the way, bringing her the bike. There's all kinds of techniques here that could have been done better and could have been ironed out through the race. But the most important one right now, what I want to point out for Taylor Knibb, is that you can't pedal through the corner until you come out of the exit. I know a lot of times in the dry, when you're racing in the US, you're doing a bunch of criteriums, and it's the right technique to be pedaling through the corners. But once it gets wet and slippery and you're carrying a lot of speed and you're on a time trial bike, you certainly don't want to be pedaling through the corners. Even on a road bike, in these kind of conditions, you got to be easy on the pedals all the time. Now we go back and we start looking at a few of the favorites. That's Lotto Kopecky. She's doing the same thing, pedaling through the corner. She's going to lose the front end. It's going to wash the bike out. She's going to pick it up, but she's still going to cross the line in first place, about 12 seconds up. At this moment, Lotto Kopecky's sitting in the hot seat, but we start seeing behind, it's Demi Vollering coming. She'll throw the bike, but she won't take over first place. We'll see the next rider when we start seeing Juliette Labousse, the French rider. She comes through 10, 12 seconds faster than the time of Lotto Kopecky, and she's in the hot seat. Now, when we start seeing the next favorites, it's Anna Henderson out there that's throwing down from Great Britain. The GB rider, she's throwing down. She looks perfect, coming through all her corners, setting up nicely all the way into the finish of the race to take the hot seat 10 seconds up on Juliette Labousse. But we got 2 more riders out there. We got Grace Brown out there, who left the ramp second. We got Chloe Dygert, the American rider, and she was last to leave the ramp. With those 2 riders still out there, we know Grace Brown is flying on the pedals. She's up a minute, minute and a half at all the time checks on everyone that left in front of her, and there's only 1 rider behind her. As Grace Brown crosses the line, she's flying across to go 1 minute, 31 seconds faster than the time there of Anna Henderson from GB team. Now, with the time up there set in 1 minute and 31 seconds faster, well, Chloe Dygart's out on the course, but we back the film up time-wise. Chloe Dygart's coming into the left corner here. She's making the same mistake as Lotto Kopecky did and as her compatriot did, Taylor Knibb. As she's coming into this left turn, there's going to be cobbles. Back the film up just a little bit. You can see she starts the rotating of the pedals. As she's coming into the cobbles, she hasn't set her right foot all the way down on the bottom of the pedal stroke to set the bike as she's coming into the cobbles. Once she hits the cobbles there, she loses the front end, slides the bike over, crashes hard. She'll get back up, jump on her bike, and get going. But the most important thing you want to remember, and remember, this is a coaching channel. This is not a recap show. I do not do recaps. I analyze the races and go in details and do coaching. That's why I want to cover the women's individual time trial right here, because Chloe Dygert is having a ton of problems coming through the corner. And of course, like I said, her compatriot Taylor Knibb had a ton of problems, and Lotto Kopecky did too. What's happening is, of course, Chloe here has to set her pedal down on the downstroke. It's a left turn. You want the right pedal all the way down. You want to set it down on the floor so you're putting pressure on the tires. If you have the outside pedal pushing down, it's pushing both tires, front and rear, hard down onto the ground. When you rotate the pedals like that, it changes the amount of pressure put on both the front and the back tire. And as the pedal swings down, what will happen is it makes the bike easy to lift. If I had your bike lean like this and I'm putting pressure on this side of the bike going into a left corner, it's going to press those tires into the concrete. When you rotate those pedals and you put pressure on this side, it'll flip up like this and it's taking pressure off the tires. When she hits the cobbles there, that's what we're seeing is she's hitting the cobbles. The tires aren't set properly and that's why she crashes. Now she gets up, like I said, she gets on her bike. Mechanic gives her a good push, and as she's coming into the final corners, she's setting up all the way from the right side to go into a right corner. Now when she crosses the line after losing time from the crashes and the corner not setting up correctly, she'll come across the line and she's 1 second slower than the time of Anna Henderson, so she's going to have to settle for a bronze instead of a silver. Now this blows my mind when I'm sitting on the Chesterfield because these little techniques you can pick up and you don't have to do any work for. You just have to go out and ride your bike and remind yourself when you're going into the corners that you want to set up for a right corner going over to the left side. When you go over to the left side, it cuts the corner so you can hit the apex and round that corner out to make it smoother so you can go faster through the corner. And when you stop pedaling in the rain and you put all the pressure for a right turn on the left pedal all the way downstroke, it pushes those tires down and it holds the traction of the tire better. Every time your pedals are turning like this through a corner, it is upsetting the traction that you have on the tires, and it has the bike and the frame moving, which if the tire has to move, now you're going from a possible dry spot on the tire because it's wet, but as the tire's rotating through, the tire could be drier in some spots, and as you move the bike like this, now all of a sudden you're getting the wetter part of the tire too that's rotating as the bike is kind of moving a little bit. Your tire underneath from the dry spot where it's touching like this, then you move it, now it's on a wet spot, then you move it back and this spot became wet, you're losing traction and you're losing pressure on the tire. So these are techniques that the women racers and the men's racers, there's some in the men's race that are having these same problems too, but I want to point this out in the women's race because when we see the line there cross of the last rider, Chloe Dygert, remember, if she went 1 second faster, she has a silver medal instead of a bronze, but it's going to be Grace Brown who's going to put on a fabulous show with over 1 minute and 31 seconds, hold on to the individual Olympic time trial championship right here, and she's going to celebrate at the end of the day. Americans come out with a bronze medal, but you should have had a silver, if not something better, with a little bit better technique there from the American rider Chloe Dygert. Now let's go into the men's race. As we start to see the first rider, Amir Anasari there, he's taking off from the ramp. Now I'm sitting on and I just got done watching the women's race with a ton of mistakes and I see Amir leave the ramp here and he's riding for the Olympic refugee team here. Now I'm thinking there's a lot of time, money and stuff spent to have the rider arrive here at the Olympics and you see him leave the ramp. It's going to be an immediate right turn here on the individual time trial here of the Olympics. It's all flat. The only thing that's really holding up the riders is the rain and of course all the lefts, right, and the chicanes. Once we see Amir and he's halfway down the course here between the ramp and the first right turn, look how far to the right he is. This is a right turn coming up. Now, every guy that I saw leaving the ramp afterwards in the men's race, they're leaving the ramp and directly going over to the left, but Amir's the first to leave and he's staying to the right side there. As he comes into the first right turn, he's still on the right side of the course there. He's losing a ton of time. And same thing, I'm thinking just like the women's race, why not save some energy? If he's going to be part of the Olympic refugee team, why don't they have a coach set up that can come in and at least teach the basics of how to come into the first corner or every corner for that matter? But at this moment, it's the first corner for Amir. He'll make it through this first corner and, of course, across the line first as he was the first one to leave the ramp. But behind, leaving the ramp second, is Jan Tratnik. Jan Tratnik normally rides for Visma Lease bike, but right now he's riding, of course, for Slovenia. And as he takes off from the ramp, as I pointed out there, opposite of Amir, straight over to the left, makes the right turn, starts his course here for the Olympic time trial. And as he gets just a little ways into it, he's got a bike problem. He's got to change bikes. We start seeing him grabbing his computer off his bike. When his mechanic shows up with the next bike, he's having all kinds of problems as he drops his computer. Rightfully so, he leaves it, takes off. We'll see the mechanic grab the computer there and give him a big push. Once Jan Tratnik gets on the course, he starts going fast. He's the first to set the fastest time at about 39 minutes and 38 seconds. Now, it doesn't stay for too long because we got Alberto Bettiol, the Italian rider, out there. He's setting up nicely for all the corners, taking them from the outside, inside at the apex, then setting them up nicely to keep the speed flowing through fast. He'll cross the line. He's up more than a minute on the time there of Jan Tratnik to put himself in the first place. Now we start seeing some of the favorites leaving the ramp like Wout van Aert. Most thing you want to pay attention to with Wout van Aert, the guy is running a double disc. I have not seen a double disc in I don't know how long if we're talking about off of the track. But Wout van Aert is riding a front disc and a rear disc. As he leaves the ramp, same thing, opposite of Mir, he's going straight to the left side, flying down the course, makes it through the first corner, and Wout van Aert's flying. Now we start looking at some of the other times up there as Ryan Moulin comes through. They're normally riding for Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. He's in the hot seat, up 9 seconds there, fastest time of the day so far. Behind him, we got Mateusz Vasek there, and Mateusz Vasek, same thing, is going fast on the pedals. As we see him cross the line, he goes into the hot seat, 1 second faster than the time of Moulin. Now, we see Bissinger. Bissinger's out there. He's doing a solid time. He'll cross the line 17 seconds up to put the Swiss rider in the hot seat right here for the Olympic individual time trial. Now, we go back and we start looking at the ramp to see some of the favorites. Wout van Aert, I already told you, he's left the ramp. Behind him, we got Josh Tarling, then we got Filippo Ganna, then we got Remco Evenepoel to leave the ramp. With all the riders out on the course, we start looking at the time from Wout van Aert. As he's coming through the first time check, he's up 3 seconds from the time of Magnus Sheffield. But Magnus Sheffield went down someplace during the course, and they didn't show exactly how he crashed. They just show him all bandaged up. So Sheffield's going to have a hard time. He's going to lose some time when he crosses the line. At the end of the day, he's 6th across the line at this moment, but at the end of the day, he's going to drop way back out of the top 10. Now, with Wout van Aert setting the fastest times out there, we start looking further back, and we're going to see Josh Tarling. Josh Tarling's got a problem. It looks like he's got a front flat tire, so he's going to do a quick bike change. Then he gets back on the road. As Josh Tarling starts coming up to his time checks, he's plus 3 seconds on Wout van Aert. Behind Josh, we got the Italian rider, Filippo Ganna. Filippo Ganna's flying on the pedals, looks beautiful. The big guy is a time trial world champion, so you know you got to wait for him to come through the line before we know exactly how this race is going to pan out. But as we see Filippo Ganna crossing the line here for the first time check, he's minus 3 seconds on Wout van Aert. Now we start looking at Remco Evenepoel. How is the Belgian kid that finished 3rd at the Tour de France in 2024? How's he looking? As he left the ramp, he set up perfectly for the first corner. In fact, he looks like he's figured out all the problems that he had in the corners from the Tour de France, because right now at the Olympic time trial, he's looking fantastic, setting up all the corners perfectly. And in his aerodynamic position, he looks beautiful. He'll start crossing the first time check. He's up 7 seconds on Filippo Ganna, the Belgian world time trial current champion right now, is trying to be the Olympic time trial champion. Now we go back up front to Wout van Aert with the double disc wheels on. As he crosses the line, he's more than a minute faster than the time of Stefan Bissinger. But Josh Tarling has done some damage back there too, but can't quite come back into the green area there. He's still always in the red. He'll cross the line 2 seconds behind the time of Wout van Aert to give himself in a silver position right now, trying to go for a medal. But Filippo Ganna's out there, and Filippo Ganna has been flying. He was up on the time of Wout van Aert, but then he started getting behind 4 seconds at the second time check. Now between kilometer 25 and 30, he's made up 12, 14 seconds on the time of Wout van Aert, but he's having some problems. He comes into the straightaway here. As he hits the bump, he's got his tires right on the white paint there. As he's trying to get over from the cobblestones onto the smooth bike path there, the white paint is always a little slippery and always a little bit higher than whatever it's painted over, and right now it's painted over the cobblestones and the bike path there. So as Filippo Ganna tries to move right, the white line there's catching his front tire. Now things are getting crazy because he's stuck in the time trial position. He's heading right to the right of the fencing there. He just barely pulls it out, saves it, then goes right back into the fencing again for a second time to pull it out and save it. The guy's trying to win the Olympic time trial right now, and he's almost crashed twice. As he keeps the bike upright, he throws down on the pedals, comes through the final corners. He's sprinting to the finish. He'll come across the line 10 seconds up on Wout van Aert to put himself in the hot seat. But Remco Evenepoel, as I told you, every time check that we saw from the Belgian rider, he was flying 11 seconds up on the second time check. Now he's coming into the finish. He's flying, sprinting all the way up to the line. He's still in the green. Then once he knows he's going to win, you see his eyes looking up at the clock. He sits up, celebrates with a huge roar, crossing the line, 15 seconds faster than Filippo Ganna to win gold here at the men's individual time trial. Now, when we start looking at him celebrating afterwards, it was a huge roar. He comes in with big hugs from the staff. The camera goes back and finds the cars. We see the Belgium national coach celebrating in the car. Later, we see Remco Evenepoel along with Wout van Aert, who gets bronze here at the men's individual Olympic time trial. We'll see those two celebrate and congratulate each other. Man, I gotta say, when I start dissecting Remco Evenepoel, when I'm looking at all of his corners, he looked perfect. At the individual time trial at the Tour de France, I remember the very first one, he was a little bit off coming into the corner with his pedal stroke, but he had it all set up. Every one of his corners, when we back the film up, you see him set up. If it's a right corner, he's on the left side. If it's a left corner, he's on the right side to set up. He's hitting the apex in every one of them. He's setting his pedals in the right position to fly through them and not lose speed. He's got the aerodynamic body size that works perfect here for time trial, and he's got the power to back it up to take gold here at the Olympics in 2024. Congratulations, Remco Evenepoel. Magnificent ride. Filippo Ganna. Absolutely amazing save when you're coming off the cobbles there on the white paint, saving it from the fencing. And of course, Wout van Aert, double disc. Man, talk about big balls. That's big balls coming out in the time trial with a front disc wheel, but you got you a medal here. We start looking a little bit further back in the men's race. Well, the American rider, Brandon McNulty, had a fine ride to go 5th here at the Olympic Time Trial Championships. Hope you guys like the take. Hope, most importantly, the pro riders out there pay attention to the little details when you're setting up for these corners. You gotta go outside, inside, hit the apex. You cannot go through like Chloe Dygert did from the right side to the right corner. That cost her the second. That would have got her silver. A lot of Kopecky crash because the pedals are always turning. It's losing traction on the back wheels. Taylor Nibbs, same thing, pedaling through the corners. Crashed 2-3 times in the individual time trial here. So rough days for a lot of the riders, mainly just because their technique is not sharp enough to be up there racing at these speeds, especially when the roads are wet and slippery. Hope you guys enjoyed my take. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next video real soon.